I can't believe didn't think of this earlier. So we have a 10 by 10 area. These are 5 by 5 squares in that area. So this is where our quarry is right now. Assume so. It's not really a very good graphical representation. When I tell it to go right, in this area it will go over 1 and eat the ground underneath it. When it goes over 5 times, it will have finally eaten that amount, and it'll be finally over here and kind of eaten this amount also. When it is done with that amount, it'll sense, hey, in this given area, since it's only a 10 by 10 dimensions, I have reached my amount here. So I am going to move forward while eating this ground and move over here. Hooray, huzzah! Oh, but I still have more of this slice that I need to quarry. So I'll eat up this ground, move over here, eat up this ground. Now the quarry is over here. Unfortunately, I can't really put anything on this since flowers do not like sand. So then it'll be here. It'll sense that it's at this top corner. Then eat up this ground. It'll be here. Eat up this ground. Move over here. Eat up this. Move over here. Eat up this. Then move down once more to continue the cycle again. And it will be smart enough to continually read that, hey, I have more to go, can we move onwards? Hopefully, if everything works out. Nice little work. And now that we can actually do that, let's continue coding. So, this X is basically the X direction of this. And it registers everything. Where on my code am I? Ah, yes. We also have to tell the calibration that we actually moved 1 in the minus Z direction. So we do that. And then end the word. So let's check what our X is right now. We have X here. And we see it's 0. And we also have a current X of 350. When it moves over, X should add 1. Current X should go to 349. So let's do that. Go right. And check the X again. 1. Current X, on the other hand, is 349. Perfect. Perfect. Everything's working. So next we're going to need to do the go left command. Go left is pretty much exactly the same as go right, but we're changing the 2's to 1's and the positives to negatives and the negatives to positives as such. Now that I think of it, I am kind of not being Let's Play announcing, hey, let's jump into this volcano thing. I'm kind of more explaining it as a tutorial wise. I'm guessing that doesn't seem as genuine of a way to explain things, so I apologize to anyone who is offended. The people who aren't offended, yay, go team. Okay, so let's move this blasted quarry down so we don't have to continually look up to our monitors, because heaven forbid that happen. Now the going forward command is a bit more tricky. Go forward and go backwards. Because of the grid I showed you earlier, it will have eaten all of these 5 squares, so there's no point of it doing anything else with that. So what it will do instead is it will go forward 5 times, so it'll have another 5 wide strip to run amok on. Let's get this out of the way to be clean and stuff. Okay, so we'll need to do something called a do loop, which you obviously already know, hopefully. If not, well, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about anyway. So let's do go forward. Go forward will be moving forward, as the name suggests. We'll be moving forward 5 times, so to set up the do loop, which will do the iteration 5 times, we do 5, 0, do. And then everything between do and loop will be repeated 5 times. So for this do loop, we'll be going forward by turning on the light blue wire and typing it correctly, waiting 4 ticks, turning it back off, and then we will break underneath, just for, helping and all that. We'll wait a delay of delay 1. Yay, I said it right. And we'll also wait for a delay of light. Always helpful. Delay 1 ticks light, and then we'll also change the position of the Z because we'll be moving forward. And then we'll close the loop. But hang on, Wei, you said that we have to figure out some way to change the position of it and whatnot. Why you lie? Well, I'm not lying, so listen up and stop complaining all the time. Basically, the X coordinate system of our quarry grid will be moving 1 each time it moves. However, that's very inefficient for when it has to move 5 whole times when it goes here. So, we'll only add 1 to our, let's call it our Z positioning of our quarry. X, Y, Z, they're kind of interchangeable since I was probably a little crazy when I was writing this code initially. Then again, I still am crazy, so I'm guessing that statement doesn't really hold any water. So, we'll add 1 to our Z by doing this simple statement, and then end with a semicolon. Not an L also, because that would kind of mess things up. So, let's check. Is there anything in our way? Actually, should we raise it up for the demonstration, or should we just leave it to tear the world asunder? Yeah, let's move it up 1, and then go forward. Up 1. Go forward, please. Thank you. And what you can't see is that it's ripping the ground up while it's going. You can see by that. Can't you? Yep, you can. Okay, and it should have added 1 to whatever it was working at. And the current Z should have shifted to negative 255, and we're at negative 255. Good. -1, please, Wilson. There we go. Now, we'll also need to do the go backwards command, which is exactly the same, but changing the 8 IOX set and whatnot to 4s instead, and changing the positives to negatives. I will show you whatnot afterwards, but anyways, moving on. And now we have a nice go backwards command that when we initiate it, it will run me over. Go backwards. It will start running me over. Yay, and chewing up the dirt that I so wanted to keep on the ground. Thank you, Quarry. You're a real pal. My yard. My cabbages. Not my cabbages. Okay, moving onwards. The next command that we'll want to do is the go down command. Go down. This will eat the ground underneath it just in case something is underneath it, which there shouldn't be. But moving onwards, it'll eat the stuff right below it by breaking what's ever below it. Then it will move downwards, just doing -1, -y rather. And since -y already has all of those delays built into it, what it'll then do is change our height of the quarry. Now this is where the heights of the quarries come in. So say this is a three layers of a quarry. This is layer 0, layer 1, and layer 2. So the quarry starts at layer 0, or yep, layer 0, eating away at the stuff on top. When it's done, it will move downwards to layer 1. So it'll change the height down here and then break what's underneath it again. Then go to layer 2 and etc. That's where the variable height comes in. So what we do is take the height that it is at, add 1 to it, and then lower it down. And then do semicolon. Yay! Everything's working. Okay, now this is where the fun stuff comes in. This is where those little x's, z's, y's, capital Y, capital X's come into play with our left.f and right.f commands. Okay, let's see what I can think of here. Okay, basically, these are where the actually checks whether the kill switch is on. So let's go with our right.f, since it's probably best if I show you. What it does is it does a begin while repeat loop, which is a pretty advanced loop, which is fun. Okay, it will check if kill is on. It'll send a flag, see if the kill switch is on. And it'll also check if the x at, the lil x, matches the maximum amount in the x direction that our quarry goes. And then it'll do a NOR, or it's an OR inverse. Pretty much the same as NOR, but more fancy. And then it'll do a while. So pretty much while both of those are not true, it will continue the loop of going right and repeat doing that. Pretty simple. So let's wait for that to compile and then go out. So pretty much when one of those conditions are set to true, it will then go onwards and break out of that loop. So it'll continue going and going right until either the kill switch or the other command is set. So then what we'll want to do is check if it's the kill switch which killed the operation. So kill 0 equals if. So see if the kill switch is false. So if it is false, it means that it's actually went as far as the system can go. And then it'll check the z at and y at. The little z is how far it's going this direction. And the big Y is the maximum amount it can go. If they are equal to each other, it will add 1 to the Z for a little extra benefit victory or something, and then it'll then check whether it's let's try to explain this before more. There are 3 separate conditions that this can be in. It could be that the little z is exactly the same as big Y, in which case it'll add 1 more so that it's more. The other case is that if the little z is less than y, which is seen here. If it is, it'll go forward. So it will add another to z. The final condition is whether it's greater, if z is greater than y. If that is the case, it won't do anything. So then, and semicolon. So let's try to show an instance of this. Let's make a quarry 10 by 10 by 2. Actually 10 by 5. since that will help it a lot better. 10 by 5 by 2. We also have to initialiate 1 as the z. Don't ask, this is needed. 0 as the x, and 0 as the height. This operation will be done later automatically, or automagically. So when we do right.f, it will move it in this direction. Move flower, he'll be caught in the way. And it moved all the way, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't move all the way. Huh. Must be because the Z was wrong or something. Anyways, it'll move over, and since it wasn't killed, it goes on to do those checks. Since Z was already greater than, it didn't do diddly squat. Actually, it was exactly the same, so it didn't do diddly squat. If we try to do right.f again, it won't do anything because it'll do diddly squat. So let's check my x value. It is 4. So it added 4 to it. Okay, I'm gonna check something and see if something's up. Be right back. Oh, I see what the issue is. There's a problem with my dimensions word. So I should redefine dimensions. So it's pretty much the exact same thing. It'll do that. 5/mod. Is it Y? I gotta get my sheet again. Pull your sheet together, way. 5mod Y. Drop. And I did 6 earlier, but it's supposed to be 5 minus X exclamation mark. It might need to change again depending on if I put my act together and figure something else out, but for now this seems to work. So there, and try re-inputting my dimensions of 10, 5, 2, and then redo right.f, and it should go 1 extra. Wait a second. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that works. Everything's working hunky-dory, and this should be good. Now let's continue our explanations on the other thing. Left.f is, as you figure, the counter for right.f. So, as you will see, it has a different way to break out. What it'll do is it'll do the kill flag, of course, but it'll also test if it's on the other side. So this X direction, if it's on way over here. If it is, it'll break out of the loop using the OR command, inverse, while, and this time it'll go left instead, and repeat the process. Then it'll check if it's broke out because of kill. If I can let it compile quickly enough. If it broke out by kill, it'll test pretty much the exact same conditions as right.f. It'll see if it's less than, if it's equal than, or if it's greater than. The greater than is done by the other two conditions, because if it's not equal then, if it's not less than, it pretty much has to be greater than. Well, logic would dictate that, but sometimes logic sucks, and we'll have to go forward with that. I'm trying to be punny. Let me type my forward punniness. Thank you very much, Wilson. So we can then test the left.f. If it goes all the way back to here, we won't have to edit lickety-split. So let's do left.f. It'll move over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and stop. Good, it stopped. Everything's working. I kind of killed my field with all of this stuff, but small price to play, small price to pay, really. Now, we pretty much have a problem. We have all the left.f conditions and the right.f conditions, but we don't have things that will tell whether it's allowed to go backwards. So, which pretty much brings us to stage 3 of our multiple stage operation, or more like a second part of stage 2. Instead of left.f, we'll do a left.b. It's pretty much the exact same beginning, so it has the begin, while, repeat conditions exactly the same, but this time it will instead have different kill conditions. I gotta define that. So I'll write the rest, then go on to the parts that are different. Before I go onwards, I cannot stress enough about how important it is to check your work while you are coding. I've had a lot of people ask, hey, wait, why isn't this part working in my Quarry? Where usually it comes down to, hey, you didn't test whether the positive X direction works, so now you gotta code the whole thing. Hey, look, a zombie! You cannot see zombie? Now you see zombies. Wow. One of them is very angry about being in that hole down there. So, just saying, test your stuff if you want to work on this design also. Let's go onwards. Now I did the stuff that's exactly the same. Now going onward to a different thing. It'll test whether whether the Z direction is 2. So pretty much whether it's at this position or something. With how the works, like, how to explain. Basically whether it's finished going forward, and if it's at this position, whether it wants to go this way. So Z at 2. It'll check whether it's equal to. If it is, it'll just subtract 1 from it. Like that. I smell food. Food? Food! Come back here. Why are the air crystals so freaking fast? Maybe that's why they aren't so... Aw, you only give me a shell. You cheapskate. Anyways, I'm probably killing my food by the fact that I am not doing anything like that. Anyways, so we'll check if it's equal. If it is equal, it'll subtract 1 from it. It'll check if it's greater than. If it's greater than, it will go backwards. If it's less than, it won't do anything, which saves us the issue of checking if it is. Because think of it this way. If it's greater than, yay. If it's equal to, if it's neither equal to or greater than, it has to be less than. Then again, there is one number in particular which is a little sketchy on that, but I won't say it because it might blow your mind. So we got left.b, which is pretty much left.f, but the bottom part is changed. The top part remains the same. Similarly, right.b, its top part is the same as right.f, but the bottom part is exactly the same as left.b. Confused yet? Don't be, because I'll type it out for you. Okay, don't worry folks, we're almost done this tirade of not quite awesomeness at this point, since steak burgers would be very lovely at this point. Which actually reminds me, vanilla Coke, one of the greatest inventions of the modern era. However, those Americans, you are lucky bums. The fact that you actually get vanilla Coke. Canadians, for some reason, vanilla Coke is not available in Canada. Why is that the case? A case of vanilla Coke. I could really go with one of those. It's very tasty, and I can only seem to find it in the States. So, Why is that? I'm only like an hour or two away from the border, so why can you not bring me vanilla Coke? I want vanilla Coke! Moving onwards, we should probably save this monstrosity of code again. Usually you'd want to use a different floppy disk, but however, I am kind of broke right now, so I'll just save it on the same thing and probably regret it later as I lose all of my work. Now, moving on to the a bit more brainy thing, we're going on to stage 3, which is the the full forward and the full backwards commands. These will pretty much do a loop of whether it's gone the full forwardness. If it has, it'll then check the total height of the quarry, so those 3 layers that I showed you. It'll see, hey, am I all the way down? If I'm not, I will go down once more. If I am, I will stay put. Not much to do about that, so full forward. We will do the normal begin, kill. This time, Z at, Y at. And greater than. So it'll check. Sorry, got a burp. There, mission accomplished. Don't you love the mic mute function? Anyways, it will check whether it went all the way. If it went all the way, bow chicka bow wow. If it went all the way, it will then stop the loop. Wait a second, I gotta see where I am. Oops, that could be a problem. Kill X. Oops, I am losing my marbles. Y at greater than or inverse. Wow. Well, that's the case. It will continually do. This is where the fun part begins. I almost forgot. It has to pretty much say whether it wants to go right or whether it wants to go left. So what it'll do is take the lowercase z and check it by dividing it by 2. It'll drop the division and take the remainder. If the remainder is equal to 0, it will go left.f. Otherwise, it will go right.f. Come on, code, compile. You are one bloody annoyance. So then, repeat. So, right now it's at z equals 1. Way over here, z equals 1 and going over there. Say it's like the 10 by 10 quarry-ness. So, z equals 1, it'll do a modulus, 2 modulus, the remainder will be 1. So, that's not 0. It will then go right. Then it'll move forward. Add 1 to the z, so it's 2. Then it'll divide it by 2, check the remainder. This time it will be 0, so it'll go left. Okay, now the next part will be a bit tricky, and the repeat, please. It will see whether it exited the entire thing by the kill. If it did not, it will go down. Then. And nothing special about that. It'll just do a nice little semicolon of victory and say, haha, I'm done. Now we pretty much have to do the full backwards, which is the same. Full backwards. Begin. Kill. This time it'll check if it's 2 or less than, or inverse while, and then it will pretty much do the exact same thing. Divide it by 2, check the remainder. Is it 0? If it happens to be 0, it will go left.b. If it's not equal to 0, it will do left dot. Whoops, not left dot. Compile, 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 compile. Thank you. Else it'll do right dot b. Then repeat, and kill 0 equals. If it is, it'll go down. Then, I could do kill inverse, though that's not fun. I'm not going to even bother. Actually, kills. Whatever. That's good. Let's leave it at that. And then do a nice little fun jiggity jig about a new thing. This is, I think we're at stage 4 of our development of our code. We will need to add 3 new variables. Previous x variable, previous y, and our favorite variable, previous tilde. No, that doesn't really make sense, does it? Previous x, z, whatever. Then we'll do our stage 4 resume word. I say resume because it is a very versatile word. If you're at the beginning of the quarry, it'll just do the quarry and go down, 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 down until it's done. But if you happen to kill the thing with the kill switch, it will just go from the place you left at because of all of those little z, little x's, and whatnot. It'll know where it is in the quarry hierarchy. Then it'll continue from where it is. So we have to do begin, kill. Kill is very fun. Height at h at. So height is where it is in the quarry, whereas h is the maximum depth that it can go. H at equals or inverse, or it's an or. I should probably add an or word to this, but there is no point at this point. No point at this point. That's kind of redundant. Redundant doesn't really work. I'm crazy. So, it'll take the height, divide by 2, and check the remainder. If the remainder is 0, so if, say, the height is 0, or 2, or 4, etc., it will go forward. Full forward. And compilation is really a B. Full forward. Otherwise, it will go full backward. And then it will continually repeat doing that until either A, the kill switch is done, flipped, whatnot, or B, the maximum height has been achieved. So, then we'll take the current x that it's at and then put it in our previous x variable. Current y at pre-y x, exclamation mark, and current z at pre-z, exclamation mark, there. So those last 3 lines, or last 4 lines if you want to put in this thing, is pretty much saying, okay, if the quarry has finished or if the kill switch is done, I will put all of my current positioning into these 3 variables so that I will know where I am. It will be useful since, if you end it or whatnot. Now, to make things a lot easier, our start command. The start command will reset all of the variables that are attributing to the position that it is. So if it did a quarry run, you pull it out and want to bring it to another place, you type start to say, hey, I want to start anew, so I want to change my little x to 0, I want to change my little z to 1, and my height to a 0. And then, because of the versatileness of the resume function, it'll just resume. And then everything works. Now let's save this into a new floppy disk. Actually, that's probably the best thing to do at this late stage in the game. I do not need seeds. Seed you later. So, take our 7 pieces of wood, our 1 piece of iron, craft up our mess over here into a floppy disk of madness and destructionness. Take this out, plug it in. Mobile Quarry Mark 3, if you please. Psh, mobile Quark. No, I am not doing a mobile Quark. They are mobile enough as it is, thank you. And save that thing for later. So I think it's about time that we test this out. So let's start it to see that this kill switch is actually working since it didn't do anything. So let's move it to some sort of location. Actually, we are going to need solar panels to keep the voltage up. The reason for this thing in the first place is that when there are solar panels that are receiving the energy, it increases the voltage, and by increasing the voltage, it makes the frame motors recharge that much quicker. By having them recharging quicker, you can decrease the delay at your leisure, and it will be all okay. So I'm gonna make some solar panels, and that will be very fun. Yay. Woohoo. Yay, music! Ah, I can't enter here anymore. Maybe I can break the glass? Break glass, press red button, run away. Okay, I cleared a nice 4-chunk big area from all of that blasted tall grass. So what I think I'm gonna do is lower this by 1. So minus y. There we go. And then we should actually start the quarrying process. Now, since it's 2 chunks, a 2 by 2 chunk area, we should do 32 by 32 and go down 80 levels. We'll need to add and retrofit this area with alchemical chests eventually, since I don't think wooden chest isn't exactly the most capacity-ish or something. So what we'll do instead is just to do 2 levels, and that should be good. It'll be good enough to see if this quarry is working. So without further ado, let's start this contraption like so. And it's eating everything up and nice and quickly and everything. Okay, so I'm not sure how long this will last with the current delay. I could probably even lower the delay and it might be sufficient. So to retrofit this area, I will need to put a alchemical chest here, and maybe I could even put 3 alchemical chests in this area, since I do seem to have enough room with everything. I'll just wait for this quarry to go over here and go forward and see how it goes. Now I will probably put quite a few more covers on it and everything, and do some minor alterations when it comes to the frames to see what type of frames are needed to be taken away, since I don't think we need all of this monstrosity. Now let's test the kill switch by killing it. It'll wait there. Good, everything's nice and dandy. Then we can resume it, and it's going from where it begins. So it looks like everything's working. We got our nice mobile quarry Mach 3 in a simple It's funny, I call this thing simple, in a simple 5 by 5 by 9 setup. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. I will try to post again, but you know me. I am very rambunctious, or something like that. Wave time. Signing off. We have a wonderful day.